September 26, 1983. Just after midnight, in a secret bunker outside Moscow, a siren starts screaming. The computer is reporting 5 American nuclear missiles in the air. Target, the Soviet Union. The duty officer has minutes to decide if this is World War III. He stares at the screen and calls it a lie. And here's the part nobody tells you. He wasn't the only person who quietly saved the world during the Cold War. Keep counting, because it happens again, at sea. That officer was Stanislav Petrov, and his story is the entire Cold War in one scene. For roughly 45 years, 1947 to 1991, the United States and the Soviet Union never fired directly at each other. Instead, they fought with spies, propaganda, an arms race, a space race, and proxy wars that killed millions in other people's countries. And over, the fate of everything came down to one human being. Here's how close it got, and how strange. May 1st, 1960. An American U-2 spy plane is cruising high over the Soviet Union, a plane the CIA assured President Eisenhower could not be shot down. The Soviets shot it down. Washington rolled out a cover story. It was just a weather plane that drifted off course. Then, Khrushchev pulled back the curtain. He had the wreckage, and he had the pilot, Francis Gary Powers, alive. The United States was forced to admit, in front of the whole world, that it was spying. That was the Cold War's daily rhythm. Spy, lie, get caught, repeat. But honestly, the spying was the sane part. Wait until you see what happened when these two superpowers got creative. 3 stories that sound fake, all of them verified. Story 1. September 1959. Khrushchev, the man commanding the Soviet nuclear arsenal, is on a state visit to America, and he throws a public tantrum because security won't let him visit Disneyland. His actual complaint: what is it? Is there an epidemic of cholera there? Or have gangsters taken hold of the place that can destroy me? Story 2. In the 1960s, the CIA spent an estimated $10 to $20 million on Acoustic Kitty, surgically implanting a microphone, a transmitter, and an antenna into a live cat. The mission: eavesdrop on Soviet conversations. The CIA's own declassified memo delivered the verdict: it would not be practical. Project scrapped. Story 3, and this one's bigger. In 1958, the U.S. Air Force secretly studied detonating a nuclear bomb on the moon, Project A-119, a flash of power visible from Earth, and a young Carl Sagan ran the calculations. It stayed secret for over 40 years. Spy cats and moon nukes are funny, right up until the war stopped playing games and started reaching ordinary people. Munich, 1972. The Olympic basketball final. The American team has never lost a game. 63 wins, 0 defeats. The final's last 3 seconds get replayed until the Soviet Union wins, 51-50. The Americans appeal and lose the vote 3-2, with 3 jurors from Soviet bloc countries. So the entire U.S. team refuses their silver medals. The only team in Olympic history, in any sport, ever to do it. Those medals are still sitting in a vault today. And it got darker. April 1978. Korean Airlines. Flight 902, a civilian Boeing 707, drifts off course near Murmansk. Soviet air defense fires missiles at it. The crippled airliner crash lands on a frozen lake. And somehow, 107 of the 109 people on board survive. A passenger jet shot at over a navigation error. And still, none of this is the closest we came. Remember the count? It's time. October 27, 1962, underwater, the Cuban Missile Crisis, the single most dangerous day of the entire Cold War. Deep in the Caribbean, Soviet submarine B-59 has been out of contact with Moscow for days. It's dark, it's suffocating, and American destroyers are hammering the water above with signaling depth charges. The officers on board don't know if the war has already started up there, and B-59 is carrying a nuclear torpedo. Firing it requires one thing: the unanimous consent of 3 officers. The captain says yes. The second officer says yes. And one man, Vasily Arkhipov, says, no, that's it. That's the whole margin. One vote on one submarine. And the world had no idea. The story only fully surfaced in 2002. And here's the twist you weren't counting on. Sometimes, nobody got to vote at all. January 1961. A B-52 bomber breaks apart over Goldsboro, North Carolina, and drops 2 hydrogen bombs, each one roughly 250 times more powerful than Hiroshima. On one of those bombs, in the words of a declassified memo, one simple dynamo technology, low-voltage switch stood between the United States and a major catastrophe. So there's your count. A gut feeling, a single vote, and one cheap switch. Because here's what's easy to forget. Both sides kept looking for the exit. September 1963. President Kennedy stands before the United Nations and proposes that America and the Soviet Union go to the moon together. His words, why should man's first flight to the moon be a matter of national competition? Khrushchev said no, though his own son later claimed he was reconsidering just weeks before Kennedy was assassinated. Oh, and that famous red phone between the White House and the Kremlin? It never existed. The real hotline was a teletype machine. Its first test message, the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog's back. By 1987, even the fear was cracking. A 19-year-old West German named Mathias rented a Cessna, flew it with about 50 hours of experience, straight through the world's densest air defense network, and landed next to Red Square, carrying a 20-page peace manifesto. The humiliation let Gorbachev purge the military's old guard. By many accounts, around 150 senior officers. 4 years later, in December 1991, the Soviet Union dissolved. The war with no direct battles was over. So that's the Cold War. 45 years, 2 superpowers, 0 direct battles, and millions dead in the proxy wars fought in everyone else's countries. It built the world you're living in right now, the borders of Europe, the existence of NASA, even the ancestor of the internet. And thousands of those warheads still exist today. But if you remember one thing, make it this. History isn't only written by presidents and armies. Sometimes it's one tired officer choosing to doubt a screaming computer. You're probably alive because of people whose names you'd never heard. Well, now you've heard them. Petrov, Arkhipov. So the next time someone tells you one person can't change anything, tell them about the night of September 26, 1983. If you want one true, mind-blowing story like this, every week, subscribe to Fact Bites, because history's strangest stories are the ones nobody told you in school.
Huh?